Hey, what's going on, guys? We got a special guest here today. We have Steven Schrutt. He's the founder and owner of the Hunger Thirst Group. He also, you might not realize it, but he is running the St. Pete nightlife. Steven, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. You know, it's always nice to get to talk about what we do every day and what we enjoy. And for me, it's one of those things that we don't stop very often. So to stop and take time, you get to realize how much fun we are having doing this.
Absolutely, it's good to reflect.
Yeah,
you get to see what's going on because your progress has been insane. It's been very impressive. Where did this journey start for you?
Probably really it started back, over 11 years ago, moving to St. Pete and, finding this awesome city, and for myself, my career, it really, being such a great, this city has been everything for me. It's an opportunity, it's been the right time for myself and my career, and the opportunities of this city have really just continue to grow. And we were talking about it earlier, this city's so different in the 11 years that I started, but I think I saw that there was such an opportunity in downtown for it to become a lot bigger than what it was back then, and even where it is now. It's expanding and growing, and I wanted to be part of that. For me back then it was all about finally opening up my own place. And now it's 7, so it's like I don't know what happened. It's like a plant, you put water on it, it grows, right? So that's kind of how it feels now.
Absolutely. So what was the first place also with St. Pete? It's a very interesting spot because it's over the bridge, it's right down the street from Tampa. But most people...
It's not far, but it feels it sometimes, right?
People talk about St. Pete if you're local, but if you're moving here, no one's like, let's go St. Pete. It's becoming that nowadays, the past couple of years. But I can't imagine 11 years ago it was let's go St. Pete. It is, but it's very different.
Yeah, I grew up in Tampa. I was born actually in Buffalo.
Okay.
So my family, my mom and dad brought me and my brother down to Tampa in the mid 80s. So we grew up in Tampa. St. Pete, like we were talking about earlier, St. Pete was a beach town, right? You didn't really go to St. Pete unless you were going to the beach. And even then we spent more summers and family vacations in Clearwater Beach. So St. Pete was still kind of, this, place that we didn't really frequent. And, for me growing up, loving sports, I started to come to St. Pete more because the Lightning started out in St. Pete. And it was called the Thunderdome, which is now Tropicana for the Rays. But back then, that's what kind of started bringing me as a young adult over to St. Petersburg. It was, hockey games, and then eventually getting the Rays and getting our own baseball team. So, I started to come over to St. Pete more than just going to the beach. And then, downtown started to grow with the city starting to do events like First Friday back then. And you're talking 15 years ago, it was a whole different, city. But, the city was starting to put on events and, starting to grow. And, part of that is such an art community and culture. And hospitality and art go hand in hand. And I think that's something for myself. I've always been into, creating. And so hospitality is really intertwined with that creative side of the art community. And so that's also why I love working with local artists is, seeing that foundation of art, music, and fashion and culture. Hospitality goes hand in hand with that. We want to, and it goes into what we do when we create a concept, You and I were talking about it, the big dogs of hospitality, like Dave Grutman, right? They tap into all senses. It's not just the food at, that's on the plate. It's the wallpaper. It's the, the music, the decor, maybe it's, they're having a Vegas style show while you're eating dinner, and there's, they really bring a Vegas style to a lot of what they do. And so for me, hospitality always kind of, connects with the art culture.
Yeah, it's a really interesting approach because people go, oh, I love the environment.
Yeah.
Like, as a guest, you have no idea what it took to create that environment. And people say that all the time, like, he's got Parks and Rec, Dirty Laundry, and like, even with Dirty Laundry, like the amount of people who went there and they're like, oh, this is so cool. The door opens like this and this thing happens. And you're like, that didn't just happen. Like,
no.
So we'll put a lot of time behind it.
So that actually was a lot of work. Thank God I found a company that builds that. They do stuff for Disney, actually.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. Anthony Freeze, who's a local, going back to art. Anthony Freeze is an amazing local artist and creator. And, you know, he and I have been working together for years. And he actually was able to find that company. And we were able to do what my crazy vision was of, you know, having a washing machine open up so you could go into a hidden bar. Yeah. So, and it's always that like wow factor too, you know, and Dirty Laundry, for instance, you know, that's like such an experience because, you know, you pick up the phone, you get told a code, you press it in, the washing machine stops spinning, you go in and then you're like, it's so different from each other. Like I was just in like this former laundromat cafe and now I'm in this really cool, you know, Havana inspired speakeasy that it just your eyes light up, and it's fun to watch people go in. You know, I like being on the speakeasy side and seeing them enter, and they're like looking around like, what the heck did I just walk into? I love that. That's one of my favorite things there.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Seeing people's like they're wow. Yeah, it's cool. We actually at one time were like, we need to just set a camera right there and just
record these
film people walking in because they're just like. It's like Space Mountain.
I love it.
Eye-opening.
Absolutely. So what was the first concept and what caused you to basically make that jump? Because there's a lot of listeners who are like, I'd love to have a restaurant. I'd love to do that, but it's a tough industry.
It's, you know, I've been doing it a long time. It's still tough. It's tough today, if not harder than it ever has been.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you got to love what you do though, right? You know, I'm sure football players, although they make tons of money, wake up sore as shit and going like, well, what am I doing? It's hard, right? Like it's, you know, physically it can be difficult, you know, mentally it's very exhausting and draining, but you got to love what you do and that's what keeps you going. And, you know, lately I've been having a hard time with certain things and I'm like, man, just one day at a time, dude. Just remind yourself one day at a time, you know, thank God you're able to do what you love. Thank God that you have the kind of problems that are solvable, right? Like we can fix these, right? They're not the problems of we're not busy, right? That's hard. I've been there. You know, I've had to close places. I've had to change places, and those are hard decisions. And you know, the other operational stuff that comes in that could be, you know, a headache for you. You gotta just handle it, and you know the operating side of things is it's the work. It's always the work. You know the creative side's fun, right? Like that's the fun part. You know it's hard work still because you got to make it all flow. But man, you know the Avenue 11 years ago. For me, it was I wanted my own place. You know, and running bars and working in restaurants and bars, you know, whether you're in the kitchen cooking or washing dishes or, you know, starting out bussing tables, you know, it all kind of comes to that point in your life where it's like, do you want this? And for me, it was, right? Like I wanted my own, like you know, and like creating my own places has always been what I enjoy. And I wanted to really, when I started the journey of like where I'm at now, you know, the Avenue was all I ever really wanted anyways. Like I just wanted a place that was mine. And so, it's kind of led me to this crazy, you know, 11 years now and 7 places. That's a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible. You brought up 2 major points that I really enjoyed. The first one is that no matter what level you're at, you're gonna have problems. And you have to realize that, but problems become opportunities, and it's better to have big problems than little problems. And then the second thing is where you go, yeah, I've always wanted to have the avenue. Like the one place is all I've ever wanted.
Yeah.
These rests are just, this is all a bonus. Like we're playing with.
Yeah, it was for me too. Like I get asked a lot about that, and like I think that, you know, when I opened the avenue, you know, I was obviously younger and starting my entrepreneur journey, and you know, being a business owner and not knowing a lot of it. Like I knew management side, right, from running the bar that I was in charge of previously, and I knew a lot of the operational side of that. But when you're the owner, you learn a lot of shit. Like I didn't know how to file taxes. I didn't know that I needed an attorney. I didn't know how to read a lease. I didn't know that shit. I had to learn it. I had to do it. You know, electric panel goes down. I'm not a fucking electrician, right? Like, how do you deal with that? Like, you figure it out. And there was a lot of that for me. It was on-the-job training. It was learning as you go. It was, I remember one night at the Avenue, like when the credit card machines went down and I couldn't take credit cards, and you know, you got like 200 people in your place, and the only people that know your credit cards aren't working are you and your bartenders. And I'm like, just keep serving them drinks. We'll figure it out. But we lost a lot of money that night because people couldn't close out their tabs. But you know what? The money's going to come back. Right? You do a good job, those people are going to come back. And at the end of the day, you know, we didn't go out of business because of one night. And I also remember telling myself in those situations, like, it's my responsibility to figure it out so that my staff can do what they need to do. And like, I always want to be able to do whatever I can so that it's easier for them. And so I always try to take that on my shoulders because that's the hat I wear, right? And like being the owner, and I had to learn that early on. Like, shit, there's
no one else.
Right. There's like, and I didn't have managers at the time. And like when I first opened the Avenue, like, dude, I used to sleep there. I literally couldn't afford a manager, you know, at the time, you know, I wasn't financially stable. I, you know, was living off $35,000 a year. And like, dude, it's
you would just take draws.
Yeah. Like I literally was paying myself $3,000 a month, and you know, 1,000 of that was going to my apartment. And thank God, you know, I was eating all my meals under my own roof, right? But like, and I, you know, there were a lot of nights I'd make myself something to eat after we closed, and stay the night there. And, you know, like plenty of 15 to 20 hour shifts, you know, it's, you do not get to where you want to be by doing the minimum. I don't give a fuck who you are, but you can't do the minimum. You know, it's just like anything else in life. Business is just like working out or playing a sport. You have to put in the work. You know, you have to practice. You have to, you know, you have to do it. If there's no action, there's no results. So for me, it's always been that. It's like that mindset of you got to put in the work. You know, you got to, and you know, for me too, it's always been one of those things. And I try to always let our management teams and even, you know, our staffs know, whether they're, you know, cooks, you know, bartenders, servers, whatever it may be, hosts, busboys. I started as a busboy in this industry. You have got to have pride in your own work. Be the best fucking busboy. Be the best bartender. Be on time for all your shifts. Like simple shit like that creates your work ethic. Right? And it stands out. You know, it's funny. I'll sometimes talk to like new busboys at places of mine, and I'll be like, I started where you were, and they look at me like, what? You know, like a lot of people think like, no way, right? But like, everyone starts somewhere, right? Like you don't just, you know, you don't get to be the starting quarterback of the team if you never thrown a fucking football, right? Like you've got to put in the work, and so that's one of the things I always try to let our teams know, like, man, you gotta work hard every day. You know, every day is the same. It becomes Groundhog's Day, right? Like you gotta bust your ass every day because it will add up.
And I think, so you brought up like a lot of major points, and I think one of the things I appreciate is the vulnerability of sharing, hey, it's not sunshine and rainbows. Because I look at you and I'm like, dude, this guy's opening new restaurants during COVID. It's so easy for him. Where does he get, how's he doing all this? I'm like, I don't understand how it
glad to
works.
make it look easy. I guess if you're good at something, it looks easy.
Exactly. I mean, because
Michael Jordan makes basketball look easy.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
that's cool.
You're doing, you were definitely.
It's definitely not easy though. I wish it was.
You were definitely doing it. And I appreciate you sharing that. It's like, yo, stuff was tight. Like, stuff hasn't been easy, and there's a challenge component to it. And the other big point is that I think everyone can take from this is that you take accountability and like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
There is nobody else. The ball stops with me. I am the ball. If you really need help, figure it out. Like, call a friend, call a mentor, but it's really on you. And
it's a team. And you know, for me, it starts with me. I want to communicate well. I want my team to know the expectations.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't like to lose, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just who I am. But I also want people to know that they're appreciated for the job they do.
Yeah.
That their job matters, because it really does. I can't do this shit on my own.
Yeah.
I don't make every meal.
No way.
I don't pour every drink. I don't manage every property as a on-site manager.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have the time for that anymore. Yeah. But I'm doing this every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I'm not sitting in the Bahamas chilling the fuck out. I wish I was sometimes. But like, I'm still working every day to make it a great experience for the guests and the staff. I'm a big believer that people that are having a good job, like a good time at their job, are going to provide good service to the guest. Yeah. If you're happy, you're gonna give that off. The energy that my staffs have is going to show to the guest experience. Absolutely. You know, and like, I just had bad service somewhere the other day, and like, I hate that, because I love this industry. Yeah. And like, I don't want someone to be in our industry that doesn't love it. Yeah. And for me, it's always been one of those things, like, I don't understand why, you know, it's so hard to just be like, hey, can I get y'all anything? Yeah. Or I recommend these things, because it was our first time the other night at a business, and it's a local business, and I was like, man, like, their bartender's not bringing it for this place. And I hate that for the business owner, because I am the business owner, right? So I'm thinking in my same, like, if that was my bartender, I'd be disappointed, because this person impacts everything. Yeah. And so I want people to enjoy what they're doing. You know, you got to be passionate about this. We deliver an experience, and there's plenty of places to go get a cold one. Yeah. And there's plenty of places to go get a bite to eat. Yeah. So we have to have people that really love what they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's one of the biggest things. Now, for you, you go from the Avenue, and then you get, what was the next?
So honestly, the next place was a place called King's Street Food Counter. Okay. And it was named after my dog, actually. King, that painting he actually passed almost a year ago now. Oh, man. Yeah, so that was kind of unexpected last year. Ironically enough, I got that really cool painting done, and about a month later, he was diagnosed with cancer. So, crazy, man. It was my little ride or die dog. My first real dog besides my family dog growing up. So my first adult dog, and went through a lot together in 9 years. But I named the place after him because it was all like a throwback kind of new age diner spot. Yeah. So we had like a bunch of really cool gourmet hot dog, like kind of did what I did with the Avenue with the burgers, right? Yeah. I was like, oh, let's do it with hot dogs and grilled cheeses and craft beer. And it just didn't work out. Yeah. Had it for just shy of 3 years. Very kind of family friendly concept. Yeah. Didn't really do the greatest downtown because we weren't full liquor, and a lot of the families during the week weren't coming downtown. Yeah. Also, we were very early to like the Edge District. Okay. And so Edge District was not what it is today. Okay. But that was, I knew the Edge District was going to blow up. Yeah. Right? Like, I knew it was going to become what I saw as like a very neighborhood and atmosphere, and that's what I was hoping for, and it has become that, and I love it. It's such a great part of what makes, you know, the St. Pete and downtown St. Pete great. I love the Edge District. It's become such a walkable, very cool, great part of, you know, extension of downtown, and even like where we are now, Grand Central, which Grand Central was also when I first moved to St. Pete, and to see it kind of like go through revitalization is really cool to see. But yeah, Kings was, you know, it was a failed business. Like I mentioned earlier, like, you know, you got wins and losses, and you have to figure them out. With Kings, we weren't doing well, and we were looking at how to, you know, for me, I'm like, how do I improve this?
Yeah.
And I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I couldn't grow the business. It was not there. It was not able to do the amount of sales that I needed it to do. And so I ended up trying to sell it.
Really?
And, you know, I had a great lease, had a fully nice build out, awesome spot. Reason why I chose that location, when I got it, I was blown away when I got that space, because it was the only patio in the Edge District.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, I was like, dude, this is a steal.
Yeah.
You know, I got that location for like very minimal.
Yeah.
You know, like I had a little bit of money saved up now because the Avenue was in year 3 and doing well. So I was like, you know, starting to stack a little bit of money finally. In my life, I had money. And I was like, you know, I kind of got the creative itch. And a former chef of mine at the time, he and I were starting to like make fun food together after work. And, you know, I told him my vision of the concept, and, you know, we started making all the food, and, you know, it started off pretty good, but we had some operational issues and, you know, staffing issues and, you know, management issues, and it just, you know, didn't work out. And, like I said, I was trying to sell it, and when I couldn't sell the place, I told myself, like, I gotta figure this shit out, right? Like, if I'm stuck with this, like, I gave myself a deadline, and I'm like, okay, if this doesn't sell by, you know, this X month, I'm gonna have to close it, and I need to reinvest in it. And I started working on the No Vacancy concept. Really? And so I, you know, in the back of my mind, when I was trying to sell it, it's funny, I had an offer, and they never had a verbal offer. The paperwork never came in. Of course. And it was on my like deadline too, right? Like I was working on this offer,
the day you said.
And I'm like, I'm giving myself till this deadline, and I'm gonna close down in the summer and do my No Vacancy concept. And I created the No Vacancy concept, and, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't want to sell this because I want to do No Vacancy. But dude, I'm not gonna lie, it takes balls to double up. And like, I went and bought a liquor license. I spent money on renovating the space, and, you know, thank God No Vacancy has been successful. But it was scary. And No Vacancy was a year old when COVID hit.
Wow. Oh, so this was a massive jump for this is like the second.
Thank God we got open when we did, because COVID would have really impacted our opening.